I never imagined that a single playful idea could spiral into something so intense, thrilling, and utterly life-changing, for both of us. It all started one lazy weekend when my brother, Jake, was lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone with that usual casual arrogance that only siblings can carry. He was teasing me endlessly about my new makeup tutorial obsession. "Come on, you spend more time on your face than I do on video games," he said with a smirk. "I bet I could rock that look better than you." I laughed, shaking my head, an idea flickering dangerously in my mind. "Oh really? You'd look amazing in makeup? Bet you wouldn't even last an hour in heels." Jake rolled his eyes, completely unbothered. "Ha. Challenge accepted. But only if you help me." That was the spark. I leaned closer, grinning mischievously. "Or, I could just surprise you. Make it a full transformation. No prep, no warning. You won't even recognize yourself." His confident smirk wavered just slightly. "Wait, what? No way. Don't you dare." But I had already decided. And by that evening, the plan was in motion. The next morning, Jake thought he was coming over to help me with some errands. Instead, I led him straight into my room, where a table was neatly arranged with an assortment of makeup, wigs, feminine clothes, heels, accessories, and even nail polish. His jaw literally dropped. What is all this?" he asked, eyes wide, panic and curiosity battling in his expression. I laughed softly, holding up a pair of sparkly earrings. "Today, you're going to discover a whole new side of yourself. Don't worry, I'll guide you. Trust me, it's going to be unforgettable." He swallowed nervously, shifting on his feet. I don't know if I can do this. I mean, come on, I'm a guy." I reached out, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Exactly why this will be fun. Just let go. No judgment. This is about exploration, curiosity, and a little chaos." The first step was foundation. I dabbed lightly onto a sponge and began blending it across his face. At first, he flinched at every touch. "Be gentle," he complained, though I could see his intrigue growing in his wide eyes. By the time the first layer of makeup was applied, I could already see the softening effect, the subtle reshaping of his features. Jawline more refined, cheekbones more defined. Next, the eyes. Eyeliner, mascara, subtle eyeshadow, each step felt like magic. His gaze in the mirror flickered between fear, disbelief, and fascination. "Wow, that actually looks different," he stammered, voice catching slightly. I smiled. "Wait until we add the wig." The moment the long, silky chestnut wig fell over his shoulders, framing his face perfectly, he froze. I could see the shock, the disbelief. I don't even. This isn't me." I laughed softly, keeping my tone gentle. "Exactly. But it could be. Let's add the finishing touches." A soft blush on his cheeks, a swipe of pink lipstick, earrings dangling, nails polished in a pastel hue, every detail heightened the transformation. Then came the outfit, a flowing pastel blouse, a skirt that swayed perfectly, and a pair of heels that made him wobble at first. He stared at the mirror, speechless, his hands hovering over the fabric as if touching a dream. I can't believe this is me," he whispered, a mix of awe and uncertainty. For the next hour, we experimented. I taught him subtle gestures, the tilt of the head, the sway of the hips, the way to walk in heels without toppling over. At first, he stumbled, laughed nervously, fumbled with his voice, and muttered, "I can't do this." But slowly, he began to relax. The fear melted into curiosity. He tried small smiles, laughed at himself, experimented with expressions in the mirror. Each tiny victory, a confident step, a perfect tilt of the head, a playful glance, added to the thrill. I look cute?" he asked tentatively, almost shyly. "You're more than cute," I said softly, grinning. "You're fabulous. And this is just the beginning." The energy in the room shifted. What started as a playful prank had transformed into an intimate exploration of identity, play, and discovery. Jake was discovering a side of himself he had never dared to imagine. Bold, playful, feminine, and confident. The real challenge came when we decided to test his persona outside the apartment. Walking down the quiet streets, Jake's steps wobbled initially, the sway of his hips awkward but slowly becoming natural. Passers-by glanced, some smiled, some whispered, but he laughed, exhilarated by the attention and curiosity. "People are looking at me," he exclaimed, a mix of excitement and disbelief in his voice. "Yes," I said, squeezing his hand. "And it feels amazing, doesn't it?" Step by step, interaction by interaction, he grew bolder. Ordering coffee, complimenting a stranger, even glancing flirtatiously at someone passing by, each small success built his confidence. I watched, amazed, as he embodied this new persona, fully and unashamedly. By the end of our outing, he had started to move fluidly, laugh lightly, speak softly but assertively, and embrace a playful charm I had never seen before. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was deeply emotional, a newfound understanding of self-expression and liberation. Back at home, we reflected in front of the mirror. His jawline softened, his eyes sparkled, the wig falling perfectly over his shoulders. The heels, the skirt, the blouse, all added to a presence that was confident, playful, and mesmerizing. "I can't believe it," he said, voice softer, almost awestruck. I feel different. But in a good way. Powerful. Free." I nodded, smiling warmly. "This isn't just a look, Jake. It's a side of you that's been waiting to be discovered. And now you know it's there, bold, fun, and unapologetically you." For a long moment, we simply laughed, admired the reflection, and marveled at the transformation. What had begun as a playful dare had blossomed into something far deeper, a lesson in confidence, expression, and daring to embrace facets of oneself that had always been hidden. By the evening, Jake was still in awe of himself. He carefully removed the wig and changed back into his casual clothes, but the spark lingered in his eyes, a mixture of pride, curiosity, and empowerment. He hugged me tightly. "Thank you," he whispered. "I never thought I'd feel like that. Like I could be someone new. And yet, still me." I smiled, a rush of warmth and triumph flooding me. "Exactly. That's what transformation is really about, discovering the courage to explore, the freedom to play, and the joy of being unapologetically yourself." And as I watched him leave, a little lighter, a little freer, I realized something profound. This wasn't just a makeover. It was a journey, for both of us, of discovery, empowerment, and daring to step boldly into unknown, exhilarating possibilities. The mirror still reflected the memory of that day, a brother transformed, a sibling connection deepened, and a revelation that confidence, playfulness, and self-expression are gifts we often overlook. And deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. Because once you taste that freedom, that thrill of transformation and self-discovery, it becomes impossible to forget. After our initial playful plan, the real disruption began. Jake went back home thinking it was just a silly joke, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. The idea of transforming him, fully, completely, kept replaying in my mind. I started noticing little things that made me grin and plot, how he absent-mindedly ran his hands through his hair, how his posture could be softened, how his normally confident voice could carry a playful lilt if coaxed. The next morning, even his casual texts made my stomach flutter with anticipation. "So, are we still doing this?" he wrote, trying to sound nonchalant, but I could sense the hesitation hiding underneath. At home, I began preparing secretly, laying out outfits, wigs, makeup, heels, accessories, and even nail polish. Each piece was carefully chosen to make the transformation believable yet breathtaking. I imagined his reaction, disbelief, fear, maybe even a little thrill. And the thought made me laugh quietly, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness myself. By the time Jake arrived that evening, he had no idea what awaited him. The moment he stepped into my room, he froze. Eyes wide, mouth slightly open, his usual confident swagger replaced by hesitation. What is all this?" he asked, his voice catching, unsure whether to laugh or panic. I smiled softly, holding up a silky blouse. "Surprise. Today, you're going to meet a whole new side of yourself. No pressure, just curiosity and fun. You in?" He swallowed nervously, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. I guess, but I don't know if I can do this." I laughed, leaning closer. "Exactly why it'll be fun. Just let go. Trust me, you'll love it. Even as he hesitated, I could see his curiosity shining through. The familiar rhythm of our sibling teasing had shifted. This was something new, something thrilling, and slightly intimidating. His world, his normal routine, had been disrupted in a way that neither of us could have predicted. It wasn't just about the outfits or makeup, it was about shaking the very foundations of how he saw himself. Every glance at the items on my table, every nervous shuffle, every tiny laugh carried the weight of anticipation. I knew that by the end of the evening, our playful prank would evolve into a profound experience. A journey of discovery, confidence, and transformation that neither of us would forget. And as he stood there, staring at the possibilities laid before him, I could feel the tension crackling in the room. Fear, curiosity, excitement, and the first taste of empowerment all tangled together. Once Jake finally agreed, hesitantly, to step into the transformation, the real exploration began. I guided him to the chair in front of the mirror, the table before us a treasure trove of possibilities. Foundations, blushes, lipsticks, eyeshadows, wigs, and accessories. His hands hovered nervously over everything, unsure where to start, while his eyes darted between the items and his own reflection. "Okay, let's start small," I said gently. "Foundation first. Just a light touch." He flinched slightly as I dabbed the sponge across his cheeks. "Oh wow, that feels weird," he muttered, a mix of surprise and apprehension in his voice. "Just wait," I encouraged, "it's just the beginning." As I blended the cream across his skin, I watched his features subtly soften. His sharp jawline and prominent cheekbones still defined him, but now there was a hint of delicacy emerging, a canvas waiting to be completed. The change was almost imperceptible at first, yet undeniably there. Next came the eyes, my favorite part. I guided him as he learned to hold the eyeliner steady, the mascara brush precise. His brows furrowed in concentration, lips parting slightly with effort. When the first flick of eyeliner enhanced the curve of his eyes, he froze, staring at the reflection. "Wait, that actually looks different," he whispered, disbelief tinged with excitement. I smiled, handing him a soft wig. "Ready for the big reveal?" He gulped. "I guess, but don't scare me." As the silky hair fell over his shoulders, framing his face, his eyes widened. The stranger in the mirror was still him, yet entirely new. Soft, playful, almost delicate. He touched the strands hesitantly, as if verifying that this version of himself was real. "Okay," I said softly, "let's finish the look. Blush, lipstick, nails, earrings. Tiny details make a huge difference." He followed along, slowly embracing each step. The blush added warmth to his cheeks, the pastel lipstick transformed his smile, the earrings and nail polish added a playful, confident flair. By the time he looked in the mirror again, he didn't just see a reflection. He saw potential, curiosity, and a side of himself he'd never dared to explore. But the most magical part came when he began moving in front of the mirror. At first, every step in the heels was wobbly, every sway of the hips awkward. But as he practiced, a rhythm emerged. He tilted his head, experimented with expressions, and even let out a laugh that sounded soft, playful, and genuinely delighted. I look different. Cute?" he asked, almost shyly. "You're more than cute," I said warmly. "You're discovering a side of yourself that's bold, playful, and unapologetically you." His eyes sparkled as he twirled slightly, the skirt swishing, heels clicking. That small room had become a private stage, a playground where fear melted into curiosity, hesitation gave way to confidence, and surprise blossomed into delight. By the time we paused for a break, Jake was laughing, touching his reflection, experimenting with gestures, and asking questions about how to walk, talk, and move with more confidence. The transformation wasn't just about clothes or makeup, it was about unlocking a new form of self-expression, a thrilling freedom he hadn't known he had. For the first time, I saw him not just as my brother, but as a person exploring the boundaries of identity, expression, and confidence. A journey that had begun with a playful dare but was quickly evolving into something far deeper. After hours of laughter, trial, and discovery in my room, I could tell Jake was ready for the next step, taking his transformation into the outside world. I could see it in his eyes, a mix of excitement, curiosity, and that faint trace of nervous fear that made him human. Are you sure about this? I asked gently, guiding him toward the door. He nodded, gripping the strap of his bag nervously. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I've come this far, right? We stepped outside, and immediately, the world felt different. The sidewalk, the street, the people passing by, all of it was charged with a new energy. Every glance, every whisper, every smile from a stranger became a ripple in his confidence, forcing him to adjust, to experiment, to grow. His first few steps in the heels were tentative, wobbly, almost comical. I suppressed a laugh, walking beside him. Just relax, sway your hips naturally. You'll find your rhythm. He tried. He stumbled once, then smiled sheepishly. Okay, maybe not as graceful as you said. Grace comes with practice, I assured him, and trust me, it suits you. By the time we reached a small cafe, he was moving more confidently. Ordering coffee, chatting with the barista, even making small jokes. His voice softened, his expressions playful. The stranger behind the counter complimented him on his outfit, and I could see his eyes widen, a blush creeping onto his cheeks beneath the subtle makeup. Did you hear that? He whispered, half embarrassed, half thrilled. She likes my look? I grinned. Exactly. See? It feels amazing, doesn't it? It did. He laughed lightly, experimenting with gestures, tilts of the head, subtle glances. Every small interaction became a test, a way to practice confidence, and he was catching on fast. By the time we left the cafe, his movements were fluid, deliberate, and graceful. He walked with a sway in his hips, chin lifted, shoulders back, exuding a new kind of presence I hadn't seen before. We wandered down streets, interacted with strangers, and even stopped for photos outside a boutique. Each interaction was a micro-victory, a test of his newfound persona. He laughed at himself, tried different expressions, and began embracing this new side of himself with courage and playfulness. By the end of the day, I could see it in his posture, the sparkle in his eyes, the confidence in his voice. This transformation wasn't just skin deep. It had awakened something in him: curiosity, liberation, empowerment. Back at home, he collapsed onto the couch, exhilarated. I can't believe this, he said, eyes shining. I feel different. Like I'm me, but braver, bolder. I nodded, smiling, feeling a deep sense of pride. Exactly. Transformation isn't just about how you look. It's about how you feel, how you move, how you claim your space in the world. That day marked a turning point. Jake had gone from hesitant, nervous, and unsure to confident, playful, and empowered. The transformation had taken him beyond makeup, clothes, and wigs. It had opened a door to self-expression, exploration, and joy. And I knew deep down that neither of us would ever forget this journey. A few days after our first public outing, Jake had grown more comfortable with his transformed persona, playful, confident, and effortlessly feminine. But nothing could prepare us for the day I signed us up for the local fashion showcase at a small community event. It was supposed to be fun, but the thought of him walking in front of a crowd of strangers, fully dressed, fully made up, fully himself, sent a ripple of tension through both of us. Backstage, Jake fidgeted nervously, adjusting his skirt and wig. His hands trembled slightly as he checked his makeup in the mirror. I don't know if I can do this, he whispered, eyes wide. I placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. You can. You've practiced, you've grown, and you're ready. Trust yourself. I'll be right here with you. The announcer called our names, and the crowd's murmur grew louder. Jake took a deep breath, his chest rising and falling rapidly. Every instinct screamed to retreat, to run, to revert to comfort, but I could see the tiniest flicker of determination in his eyes. Step by step, he walked onto the stage. The heels clicked against the wooden floor, the skirt swaying in time with each movement. He paused, glanced at the audience and froze, the panic flashing briefly in his eyes. Then, as if remembering all the practice, all the hours in front of the mirror, he tilted his chin, softened his gaze and smiled. The crowd reacted immediately. Whispers, claps, a few gasps, the energy was electric. Every gesture, every movement, every subtle expression worked together to create a presence that was captivating. The boy I had known moments ago had been replaced by someone bold, mesmerizing, and completely alive. Midway through the walk, a small misstep in the heels made him stumble. His eyes widened, heart racing, panic threatening to take over. But he caught himself, laughed lightly, and continued, the confidence returning with each step. I could see the inner struggle playing out on his face, fear versus exhilaration, hesitation versus empowerment. At the end of the runway, the applause was deafening. Jake's chest heaved, eyes sparkling, a wide grin spreading across his face. He had done it, faced the crowd, embraced his transformation, and owned it fully. Backstage, I hugged him tightly. "You were amazing," I whispered. He laughed, a mix of relief and pride. I can't believe I did it. I actually did it. And I felt incredible." That moment crystallized everything. The transformation wasn't just about looks or makeup. It was about courage, self-expression, and daring to step into the unknown. Jake had faced his fear, embraced the unexpected, and discovered a side of himself that was playful, confident, and free. As we left the event, he walked taller, laughed louder, and moved with a grace I hadn't seen before. The transformation had reached its peak, and in that moment, it wasn't a surprise anymore. It was a revelation.